You boys know what's about to happen to you. You'd leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Reina Creole, and her of Positive Fandom and Roman Empire Matters is here with me. And this, of course, is the Toxic Male Appreciation Podcast, where we appreciate you toxic males for your traditional masculine values that we definitely appreciate on this show. Am I right, my dear?
Yes. We would be nothing without you guys out there. Keep being toxic. We are watching, we are listening, and we love it. So we really do love you guys out there. And we do the show. It's all about rejecting modernity and embracing masculinity here. And this is our passion, Lorena. I have been enjoying every show we've been doing in Toxic Male Appreciation. I'm so glad that you asked me to do this show with you. And we've been going strong for quite some time now.
Yeah, I think like over like a little over a year, right?
Yeah.
Year and a half. It's been, oh my gosh, it seems like it hasn't been that long. Well, I guess because we're having so much fun. But you guys out there have been just dropping comments, telling us how much you love the show, how much you enjoy the show, how much you toxic males appreciate being appreciated on this show. So, we have got plenty of drinks in the freezer. We got plenty of food, all that kind of stuff. Yes, virtually, but guys like food. So we got that. We got that for you. So sit back, relax, enjoy yourself. Be careful if you're drinking something because we're probably going to make you LOL spew a lot on this particular show because I tell you, the Mary Sue is always good for a laugh. And if they weren't so dead serious about this stuff, I could 100% laugh it off. But there's always been this undercurrent of misandry when it comes to um, the Mary Sue. And usually, if men try to call it out, they will call you sexist. They will call you misogynist. They will call us self-hating, but that's about as far as as they're going to be able to go because between her and myself, we expose these people for exactly what is going on. So this one here from the Mary Sue by Rebecca Oliver Kaplan, how responses to the Marvel Cinematic Universe reveal unexamined critical biases. What is that title supposed to be?
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I think, first of all, I think it's a fantasy and reading into something really with no truth to it. There's no critical bias. I think that this title is very misleading because a response just means whether you like something or not. It doesn't have anything to do with your bias. You either like something or you don't. It doesn't mean that you're biased one way or another. So there really is no proof that a person is biased because they like or dislike something.
Yeah, it's just like how do you quantify subjective bias like this? And I'm pretty sure that there are studies that will do that. However, this one that they use from Psychology Today, which I do not, any study where I cannot see raw data and I cannot see the abstract and I cannot see the white paper, I'm immediately suspect about. And this is from 2015. This is the article that they're referencing in the Marcy article. It is from 2015.
Yeah. And
No,
they're paraphrasing the research study. You and I have read research studies. So the notion of this fantasy of, bias in movies and racism in movies, they have to be very careful, and also very specifically what movies you're talking about and in what context, because it's very difficult to look at this. I mean, a person could deduce that about any film. There has to be some quantifiable way they're doing it. This article, I do like Psychology Today, but you have to, I think that sometimes when people go ahead in and use research papers, they don't understand what the research paper is actually saying. Research papers have, oftentimes, let's say if they're trying to look at something, they have, kind of like a null hypothesis and
yes.
and an alternative hypothesis,
Mhm.
and, essentially they're looking at something, but sometimes, correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. And, oftentimes a lot of this is just correlation. It doesn't take into account the exact reverse situation. For some people would find it absurd to say in the reverse situation that it means the same. It can be confusing. There's no reason to even look at movies in this way, mainly because they're an artistic expression. And as far as I'm concerned, it's an art form. It's not sort of like it doesn't necessarily have or pertain to anything that can be brought to court or anything that is going to affect anything. So I'm really curious as to how um this can somehow uncover racism. I don't know whether they mean racism when you get to the movie theater or whether it's racism when you're looking at very specific films. I'm not quite sure what to think, Lorena.
Well, what they're trying to say through the very verbose portion of the article that I'm not gonna go through, but what they talk about is someone who, if they see, based on this loose study from Psychology Today, where we can't see the data and look at it, or if they see a film with a black lead and supporting white actors, they're not really prone to watching that. That they'll skip over that movie because, again, in the bias that they put in this article, because in Trump's America, they do not want to see another black man in power. I'm like, okay, so now you're mixing a political opinion with a theory that you cannot even prove. Like, for example, if there's a movie like, say, with Eddie Murphy and a supporting white cast, Beverly Hills Cop. Lots of people know that film. They know that movie. That's one that they will see, as opposed to, say, you have a black actor that no one has even heard of, or maybe someone who's new who's on the scene, or maybe it's a genre type of film that some people are just not interested in the genre based on no matter who it is. But they do not make that distinction. They make the assertion that because of what they extrapolate out of this Psychology Today article, that people who see black leads with white cast are not that, because they have bias against it. That's why they won't see it. And again, that's something that's not something that's quantified.
Yeah, it's just not true. And, a lot of it just has to do with talent and recognizability. You know, I know if I see Idris Elba practically in anything, I'm watching it. So, so I don't know. It is very confusing to look and try to, you know, see this some special hidden message in something that has absolutely no message whatsoever, especially the picture that of this film that we're seeing right now. There was this particular film which I say really was a chick flick. It's, to me, if you remove the superhero aspect, if you remove Marvel from it,
Mhm.
and it was just three women, and you know, they had just kind of like erroneous powers not associated with Marvel, and then they get attacked by some random chick who wants to destroy their powers. It could have been a
Mhm.
pretty good film. You know, like, it's a chick flick. In fact, when I went to go see this, I thought to myself, why didn't they just say that this is it's a chick flick? If you guys don't, you're tired of everything that's out there,
Mhm.
go grab some cheese and wine before the movie. Go with your girlfriends. Go with your girlfriends. Go
Yeah, check
see.
out the pajama party in space, which is what I called it because it's exactly what it seemed like, but not for nothing. You couldn't tell me that was a superhero movie. It wasn't like Wonder Woman. It wasn't like, I'll give a little bit of leeway with this, Black Widow. It wasn't, it wasn't that at all.
No, it really wasn't. And it also wasn't like Doctor Strange Part 2, you know, like where we saw Wanda, for example, who was kind of the main baddie, if you will. That was very different. Did not feel like this film. Those are such good examples, Lorena, and certainly we are
Mhm.
seeing a situation of a film. I think that this film, they wanted it. They wanted it to be a superhero film so badly. You know, there was this desire, but I think they should have taken a risk, taken a chance. To be honest with you, I've never seen Samuel L. Jackson so adorable in my life. Like, this was, I never seen him in anything like that. I was like, he's kind of funny, you know, like, this is a comedy chick flick, you know, all these sort of things. We want to see films like this, but then they had to mess it up by making them superheroes and putting Marvel on it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And what they're trying to say in this article, while I think it's very disingenuous that they go with this racial angle that they can't quantify, they want to tie it to people's responses about the MCU. So we'll just read this paragraph here. We've all heard it at least a million times. Marvel Studios has lost its way. But this week alone, fans got new announcements for Fantastic Four, Deadpool, I can't wait, and Wolverine, leaving many excited for the upcoming projects. However, these projects lead me to believe that maybe Marvel isn't failing. It's catering to a wider audience, and the largely white, cis male critical base just cannot relate. How much pixie dust do you sniff in?
This
I
was not
look
made for them. This movie was not made for them, Lorena.
no.
It totally was not made for men in general. um, Come on. This film is a chick flick, up and down, side to side, back to front. There's no other way you could define this. And I don't know any man who willingly watches a chick flick. Uh,
Mm-mm.
if he loves you, he watches it. But
Yeah, keyword being, hmm,
he loves you. He really
catering.
loves you.
Yeah, yes, he does. And let's put it this way, this movie was so bad, I almost felt like warning any guy who had to go. I'm like, your girl better make you a steak. She better make you, you know, cake from scratch. She needs to give you a foot rub for seeing this piece of crap.
I
Mhm.
made a guy watch how Stella got her groove back. Okay. So I knew that was bad. I knew it was bad. I knew I was bad for doing that. And I remember at the end, I was like, so what'd you think? And he's like, I don't know what I just saw. This is very similar to that. I think a lot of men might watch this and be like, what is this? but for you and I, it's quite identifiable and we get it. So I think it's really funny. Yeah, maybe it's because we're women and this film clearly, I think clearly is geared towards women. Hello, this is totally
Yeah.
a film for us. I don't even know. I can't even imagine a man buying a ticket to this. I really, if any man is watching this now, do not, don't buy this.
No, I mean, I was in the movie theater and I saw some single dudes watching this movie, and all I can think of is, all right, whoever you're trying to impress to tell them to prove you actually saw the movie, I hope they're worth it, because this film, and this is the difference in case you folks out there like, oh, guys don't like it. I'm like, well, you haven't given them a reason, to like it. You look at the marketing. Okay, there's a big difference between how this looks and, like, say, how the Black Widow movie looked, or how the Wonder Woman movie looked. When people were going to see those movies, or I'll bring Wonder Woman up because actually that's a much better example, because Black Widow, they were day late and dollar short with that movie. But with Wonder Woman, men knew about Wonder Woman. She looked hot, but they also know that she's a superhero. That's what they got. At least the first one. We're not going to talk about 84. We don't talk about that. They got what they came to see. They wanted to see a superhero movie, and that's what they got with the first one. This, like you so aptly said, was a chick flick masquerading as a superhero movie. Now, when you have the majority of the superhero movie audience, and this is true, y'all can call me sexist, but I got data to back me up, is predominantly male. So you mean to tell me you were going to fault the target audience, or to what you try to call target audience? You're going to fault the target audience for not seeing something that's not catering to them.
Yeah, and certainly, to be honest with you, and I have to, I think I'm being maybe a bit critical in the sense of the way that the film is marketed. And, like, it's quite clear that they're trying to hit a lot of demographics with the film. They got a teenage girl. She is a teenager, right? She's still in high school.
Yeah, she's a teenager. She was really sweet. She was
She's a little sweetheart, isn't she?
Yeah.
And her mom is like, who are these people? Who are
tearing up her house?
Your friend is upstairs in your room. Like, it is just the best. I think, we've been in high school. We've all had that experience. Gee, as a girl, I relate to that. Oh my gosh. And, when it comes to Tiana Harris, I hope I'm saying her name right. And I've been in love with her ever since. And I know people didn't like WandaVision, but I thought that she was the breakout star of the show.
I
To be
agree.
honest with you, Lorena.
I
And
agree.
we saw her in, they cloned Tyrone. We've seen her in so many things. This woman is a talent. And so I kind of feel like she represents, perhaps this may not be true, but, kind of like and of course she's not Gen Z, but it's almost like maybe she represents millennials and stuff like that. I'm just going to, this is just my interpretation of it. It may not be true. And then when we get to, Captain Marvel, I'm not quite sure. She's kind of like neither here nor there. She doesn't have the personality level that the other two characters have. So she's kind of very generic, and she could be maybe even any woman for that matter. There's nothing that distinguishes her that makes her, necessarily special or unique. It's just that, in this particular movie, their paths cross, and, all sorts of zany, wacky things, happen. And I'm, who knew that she was a princess and married to a smoking hot Asian guy? What? Like, what a secret. I think when I look at the combination of these ladies who can be stars, they could have made this could have been a mega star blockbuster if it was marketed the right way. And they falsely, they say, oh, they must be superheroes. Did they have to be Marvel superheroes? No, they could have been like like The Boys, you know, like an offshoot of The Boys,
Mhm.
except, you know, it's like, well, I don't want to be a famous superhero. And, you know, it's like, got to go save the world, you know, like kind of
Like,
like,
shoot,
you
do
know,
I have to?
yeah. And maybe that's
Alright.
the attitude that Captain Marvel has, Lorena. She's kind of like, I guess I got to go fix that.
Mhm.
I guess, you know, I guess we're not going to be able to go bowling tonight. I'm gonna have to go to another
Mhm.
galaxy and fix this shit.
Yeah. Cancel that trip to Vegas. Shoot, man. I was looking forward to that $12.99 all you could eat surf and turf buffet. It may give me food poisoning, but daggone it, you know, I wanted to try it.
And
But it was like it was missing stuff like that.
absolutely none of those groups are cis males or any male. None of them are any males. Like, this is totally for women as far as I see it, and I'm
Mhm.
fine with that.
I'm totally fine with it too.
I think,
Uh,
Lorena, you make a good point about this article in particular because it does kind of go and blame the fans and say it's, you know, you guys must like this film. If you don't like the film, there's something wrong with you. If you can't see this film as is genius. And I'm thinking to myself, nah, this film isn't good enough to go ahead and make claims like this. This is not Oppenheimer.
no,
This
no.
is not The Holdovers. You know, this is not, I'm trying to think of some other great films
This
that I've,
isn't it's like it's not Creed 3, you know? It's it's
this
nothing like that.
this is not Spider-Man No Way Home. Was it No Way Home?
Yeah, No
This
Way
is
Home.
not the Mario movie even. You know, like this movie didn't hit that level of excellence that could you imagine if it did? Then I think, you know, I think a lot of people who wouldn't normally watch three chicks hanging out,
Mhm.
you know, would actually
Yeah.
kind of pay more attention to it. But even Black Widow, as you said, Lorena, she wasn't just hanging out. You know what I mean? Like, she wasn't
Mhm.
just kind of like, oh, well, no. Like, that was a serious natured film. This was very kind of light and happy go lucky. It's a B movie. Don't go ahead and make it seem like it's the best film you've ever seen. And it's okay
Right.
to have B films. It's okay to have those. But guess what? Generally speaking, you don't have a huge audience of people who love that. So don't go ahead and force people to like something that they don't like. It has nothing to do with biases. The film just was not all that, and that's just the truth.
Yeah. And it just yet again amazes me, like you were saying about blaming the fans. Yeah, this line here: when discussing the MCU, prejudice seems to permeate critical responses. Seeing Black characters in lead roles when all the followers are white violates film critics' expectations because Hollywood has traditionally cast Black actors in supporting roles, and there's a disproportionately lower number of Black people who hold society's lead roles relative to the group's percentage of the population. First of all, I'm just like, one, what year do you think this is? And two, you have a photo of the Marvels up there when all through this article, you're talking about how there's a bias against seeing Black leads with white supports. I'm like, and then bringing the MCU into it. Okay, I don't understand. Although I'm guessing quite possibly that if they tried to use Black Panther as an example, it would freaking fail miserably because that film made quite quite a bit of money, and I just really am tired of this. I'm tired of, of the fan blaming going on. Let's face it, Marvel has not been up to par with their films, that they're just basically they're not superhero films. I don't know what the heck that they are, and the audience is moving, towards other things. I know when I saw the Deadpool 3 trailer, oh my god, I freaking loved it. I saw that I don't know how many times. I'm like, he's an anti-hero, but I freaking love him and just how he doesn't. I mean, it's that kind of film. I almost want to say if the Marvels was on a level of B film like the Deadpool movies were, I think they would have gone over much better. But unfortunately, Disney wants to trash the fans instead. So this is from That Park Place. Disney executives say moviegoers that criticize the company's agenda want movies that conform to regressive gender stereotypes.
No, that's not true. People who criticize Disney's agenda just want the value of their stock to remain high and continue to increase in profit. That's what they want. They don't care about necessarily about stereotypes or aggressive gender or anything like that. They just want to see performance in something they've invested in. So, this kind of fantasy that they're saying is really just, completely unfounded. That's the priority, I think, for a lot of people who have invested in Disney, in this company. And then there are people who are fans. The majority of people in Disney who are, a lot of them are parents, not all of them, but a lot of them are parents. They just want appropriate films with a moral message that they can show their kid, and they don't have to worry about what's in the film. So that's what they're hoping for. They're also hoping for the immersion that they expect when they get to the park. So that's really what they're looking for. They don't care about conformity or regressive gender stereotypes or any of that stuff. That's not important to them. They just want quality content. They want the value of the stock to remain high and go up if possible. This has absolutely nothing to do with the idea of saying goers are criticizing the company's agenda. The biggest criticism has to do with those dividends and the value of the stock. That's the biggest criticism. And, unfortunately, that's something that they need to correct. It has nothing to do with conforming or regressive gender stereotypes. I've never even heard anybody say this, like verbally. I've never heard anybody even say this sentence other than in this article, Lorena.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And this a Disney executive quote, actually Matt Baloney, who has this Puck News, he got a hold of that particular quote. And basically you've got like an executive that was on a hot mic. So here it says, in response to an article, an anonymous Disney executive informed Baloney that the fans are to blame for Disney's film's bombing. The executive informed Baloney, everyone says it's the movie, stupid, which is an easy thing for people to say. More appealing movies are a great way to jump to the political issues. We're not trying to be preachy, we're just trying to see it our movie. But more and more our audience, or the segment of the audience that has been politicized, equate the perceived messaging in a film as a quality issue. The executive continued, they won't say they find female empowerment distasteful in the Marvels or Star Wars. The latest trilogy stars in Daisy Ridley. But they will say they don't like these movies because they are bad. I'm going to stop there. Give us some time for that last one. But what do you think when you hear something like this coming from a Disney executive, basically saying that the fans, when they say these things, by just saying that they're bad,
Yeah,
because supposedly like they have an agenda for saying these things instead of the blatant, we don't like it because it sucks or whatever.
yeah, it's to be honest with you, I don't know if I want to use the Marvels as an example because I don't think that film is bad. I just think it's marketed wrong. Like, as I said to you before, Lorena, it's not a superhero film necessarily like a Marvel superhero film. And it's certainly not, it's a chick flick film and they should have marketed that way. And women would have gone to see it. And it is a B film. It's
Yeah.
not sort of like upper echelon quality film. Absolutely nobody has said that about the Marvels, that it is what you would consider an A-list great film. So that's something to think about when it comes to the way that the executives are looking at the quality of the work they're putting out. in the first place. The second thing that's really funny is that um, it has nothing to do with being male or female. It has nothing to
Mhm.
do with being male or female in the film or for the viewer. Um, People will watch it. They don't care about the gender of the lead. It's just they just don't. I mean, we're seeing so many um different leads these days. It's just not true. And look at the films, the way the films are performing in general. We had
Mhm.
billion-dollar films last year. Let's say one with a predominantly female lead and one with a predominantly male lead, and, it just goes to show you, regardless, both performing incredibly. We even had an animated feature that had a an animated man, I guess you could say, as the
Mhm.
lead in that one. So, and if whatever you want to call, I can't remember the Bowser. Is it Bowser? Whatever he
Yes.
is.
Yes. Jack Black's character.
Yes. Or even let's look at Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, an animated film, where you had Spider-Gwen. And let's say for the purpose of it seemed like a lot of the film was about her. So, that just doesn't make any sense. All those films kind of negate what they're talking about. Like I said, if it's a good film, people will watch it regardless of the lead. They don't care about any of this stuff. They don't want to admit that their product quality isn't always 100%. Go ahead and make a B film. Make Herbie and the Love Bug. That was a Disney film, right, Lorena? Like, go ahead and make those silly films. Race to Witch Mountain. We want to see those fun, goofy things. We're not expecting those to be A-list films. We're not, right? We're not. We'll watch them.
No.
We will watch them because we want to be entertained and have fun and enjoy it. But there are going to be films that are B films, and usually those don't perform as well at the box office, and that's okay because there's room for all levels of films. But it has nothing to do necessarily with the comments that they're kind of saying. It's nothing to do with women, nothing to do with men. Just people, responding to the film the way that they should respond to it, to a B film.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. Such great points you make there.
Thank you.
But second, welcome. But this last one is the one that really, it really grinds my gears. The executive concluded, so make better movies becomes code for make movies that conform to regressive gender stereotypes or put men front and center in the narrative, which is
So
what you're seeing now and Bob Iger's pivot is about right
yeah,
now.
this is not an if and then theorem, like if Q then Y. It doesn't work like that with movies. So you do need somebody who has a certain level of presence, and I think that you had that in at least two of the actors. And let's say in the case with the Marvels, I think Brie does look good on camera. And when she's given the right role, she can act and do well in that role. The same for Tiana Harris. I wanted to see
Mhm.
them, especially have very strong, kind of discussion in this. And we didn't necessarily get that. And I think if we did, if we gotten something that was really wrenching emotionally between the
Mhm.
two of them, that, let's say Miss Marvel did not need to be involved, right? We didn't want to see her in heavy stuff, right?
Right.
Let her still be very sweet and kind of learning the ropes and all that. But if we saw, Tiana Harris and Brie, really discuss some serious shit, this would have been a very different film. And we know they're
Mhm.
capable of performing like that. We know both of those actresses can pull it off. They didn't take a chance on them. Disney didn't take a chance on those leading ladies.
No, and I think it's so disingenuous to try to blame men or blame men for the movie didn't do well, make better movies, that means we're going to have to go back to quote unquote regressive gender stereotypes. I want to know what's regressive about a heterosexual relationship. What is regressive about a film that caters majority to a male audience?
Mhm.
What is wrong with the film that caters to a female audience, but isn't doing it in a way that demonizes men, those things make money. So to call it regressive, I don't think it's regressive. I think it's because it is not the gender, we'll say, situation that you want to see or that you do not think is right to see. And it's almost like saying, you folks in Hollywood is like this. You know, it's a bubble. They don't care about us over here in flyover country. It's like, we know better than you do. So how dare you not like this? Now you didn't pay to see the darn movie. So now we got to go back to this regressive gender stereotype crap just so I can get paid enough money to pay my mortgage. it's really it's insidious, but in a way they're basically admitting that they've been going about it. They've been going about the wrong way, demonizing we'll say, maybe demonizing is too much, not trusting your audience, because there was a time in Hollywood where artists would put out their work, and while they had a vision, they left it up to you, the viewer, to make your conclusion from what it is that you saw. And it seems like with this movie, or with the movies of late, the audience isn't trusted. And they're like, we're going to tell you what you need to think. They're going to tell you that you have the wrong opinion. And I really can't see how art can flourish in an atmosphere like that. I'll give you the last word, my dear. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you make a good point about, what exactly are we seeing in these films? I think what is really interesting about it is that the art form of a movie, while it's true that you want the director and the screenplay writer to show us their vision, just because you're showing us your vision doesn't mean it's going to be popular with everybody. Even when it's a good film, Lorena, even when it's a good film, which I think The Marvels was a good film. I didn't think it was horrible. Um, Even when it's a good film, it's not easy for, to kind of like get a home run. However, Disney had a formula that was working that gave them home runs all the time. It was their decision to deviate from that. If you want to be artistic, go ahead, but don't abandon a sure thing, Lorena.
Absolutely.
Make both.
Absolutely.
Have an experimental side, but then also make the movies that we're all expecting to see from Disney that we
Mhm.
know and love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Toxic Male Appreciation. We certainly do hope you all enjoyed our banter here, but let's hear from you guys. Drop us something in the comments. Give us your idea. What do you think about Disney trying to blame you cis het men, especially you cis white men, for the fact that their movies aren't doing so good? I mean, after you get done laughing, and then go ahead and drop the comment. And we love hearing from you about this show. So please do tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, guys, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom, where I do all the parlay in the fandom. You can also find me on the Burn Network, and you can find me on my new channel, Roman Empire Matters, Lorena. And thank you again for another enjoyable and exciting Toxic Male Appreciation episode.
Oh, well, thank you, my dear, for being here. I could not do this show without you. I do not want to do this show without you. And it's always, always so fun having you on the show. So, folks, of course, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on YouTube for various videos and live streams. I am 55 subscribers away from 7K. So hopefully you guys can help me make that happen so we can kick off that 4K. Sorry, no, that was a long time ago. 7K, 7K celebration. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.